you're right, 37.
I know that. I just don't know which ones are first in the executive session.
Something South Irma, 828.
Hit your map and you stick your finger on it, it'll come up.
So I'll just determine who's first in executive session.
Is it 2022?
Let's do me first. And then who's the other one?
There's a thing in my district.
Good evening. I'd like to call to order this regularly scheduled meeting of the Ascension Parish Council, February 20th, 2020, in the Gonzales. Thank you all for being here this evening. If you can try to find seats, I think there's probably room if everybody kind of moves in together, and if everybody will make themselves comfortable. At this time, we will have the invocation led by Mr. Ken Dawson, and if you will stand and remain standing for the pledge following the invocation.
Let us pray. Father, we thank you for all that you do for us, for the blessing you continue to bestow upon us. And even though undeserving, you continue to give us grace. Father, we pray for your wisdom to do the people's business well. We thank you for all that are here. And Father, as we embark on the things we have to decide tonight, we know that you give wisdom to anyone that asks, because you said you do so freely. So bless all that here. Continue to bless Ascension Parish. Continue to bless, oh God, all the things that we embark on. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Secretary, all members of the council are present. There is a public comment period before each item on the agenda. So if you would like to speak on an item, please go to the podium there, get a red or green or white. I think there are 3 different cards there. Fill one of those out, bring it to the secretary. She will hand it up here to Travis, and you'll be called upon to speak at the appropriate time on the agenda. I would like to make an announcement tonight that we will be canceling the March 5th meeting of the Ascension Parish Council in Donaldsonville. We're doing that because we will, most of the council will be attending the National Association for County Officials Conference in Washington, where we have an opportunity to learn about what's going on in other parts of the country and to visit with the members of our legislative delegation there, so a congressional delegation. So thank you for making note that that meeting will be canceled. At this time, there are some presentations. I believe, Mr. President, there's a proclamation for National Women in Construction Week in Ascension Parish. And if you'll allow me, Mr. President, I'm going to come join you while you read that. I'm not a woman in construction, but I'm proud of them.
Will Shelby McCaffrey and Bethany Babin join us, please? The National Women in Construction was founded in Texas, now has over 100 chapters nationwide and affiliations around the world. The Baton Rouge chapter was founded 62 years ago. It was the 6th chapter chartered in the country. Most of its members work in Ascension Parish. They provide networking and educational opportunities for members. They provide scholarships every year. Shelby McCaffrey and Bethany Babin, both employed by the United Rentals in Geismar, will accept this proclamation tonight and address the council about their obligation. So this proclamation, whereas the Baton Rouge chapter of the National Association of Women in Construction has distinguished itself for 62 years as the voice of women in construction in Louisiana. Whereas the work done by the Baton Rouge chapter of the National Association of Women in Construction has benefited South Louisiana through community development and their educational programs. And whereas the Baton Rouge chapter of the National Association of Women in Construction have unceasingly promoted the employment and advancement of women in the construction industry. And whereas the construction community, represented by the Baton Rouge chapter of the National Association of Women in Construction, has been the driving force in fostering community development through renovation and beautification projects, promotion, skilled trades, careers, and positive vision of the future. And whereas the Baton Rouge chapter of the National Association of Women in Construction has sought to achieve successful results for South Louisiana, surrounding areas in a cooperative spirit and with other organizations. Now therefore, I, Clint Quentmont, President of the Parish of Ascension, State of Louisiana, by virtue and authority vested in me, do hereby proclaim March 1st through the 7th, 2020 as Women in Construction Week in Ascension Parish, and do hereby recognize the Baton Rouge chapter of the National Association of Women in Construction and its many dedicated volunteers for steadfast work on behalf and in support of women in construction. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my official seal and have caused to affix the official seal of the Parish of Ascension, State of Louisiana, on the 20th day of February 2020. So just give them a round of applause.
Moving all the chairs out your way. Get in the front, Chase. Yeah. We get in the front too. Apparently, I'm getting shorter. Wider. Here we go. Here's.
That looks great, thank you.
Yeah, brother, thank you, man.
I just want to thank you for this proclamation. It means a lot to our chapter. We are kind of trying to pioneer the opportunities that are out there for women. I grew up in Ascension Parish, and I graduated high school from Dutchtown in 2012, and the opportunities for a career path that were presented to me were not plentiful. It was very, very limited, and this is a huge, huge, huge step in the inclusion of everyone in any field, in any career that you want to pursue. You know, it doesn't matter who you are or anything. You can do anything that you want to do. So this really means a lot. Thank you all so much.
Item number 6, the parish president's report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good evening, council members. We are now in 7 weeks in the office, and already my administration has made great progress on the issues most crucial to the parish residents: drainage, traffic, and development. In this future council meetings, we will see before you some of the initiatives so far. We have been out in the parish meeting people and experiencing firsthand some of the programs that are in progress. On Friday, February 7th, we joined leaders in Ascension, Assumption, and St. James, among with members of the Lafourche Basin Levee Board, to inspect and clear dredging along Bayou Verret. This bayou drains much of the West Bank in all 3 parishes, but has been neglected for a long time because no one could claim full responsibility for it. Thanks to the coordination by the Lafourche Basin Levee Board, and with much needed assistance from Senator Ed Price and Representative Ken Brass, work is well underway. The total cost of the 6.5 mile project is expected to be close to $1 million. It's being shared among all 3 parishes. Ascension's portion is $121,143, Assumptions is $39,800, and St. James is $159,046. The remainder is being funded by the Lafourche Levee Board, primarily by performing all the dredging work with its own equipment. We will continue to work hard to overcome obstacles that we can see the project through its full fruition. The second Tuesday of the month, we were out in Donaldsonville Lemon Center for the monthly food distribution by Catholic Charities. This is the distribution of what used to be called commodities. It is provided by the USDA. At the same time, we witnessed quarterly distributions of fresh food, including meat, fruit, and vegetables from the Greater Baton Rouge Food Bank. This food distribution is based on need, not age. The next day, we went to Lamar-Dixon for the same program on the East Bank. Ascension Parish government is very pleased to be able to partner with these organizations to provide food to those in need. It is with great pride that I witness so many volunteers, staff, and council members all working hard together to serve our community. With all of our blessings here, no one should ever have to go hungry. As part of our efforts to go paperless, all of our committee secretaries were trained recently on Civic Clerk, a paperless agenda software. Training was conducted by the Council Secretary's Office and the Technology Department, and we were presented to the parish employees who serve as recording secretaries for the various parish boards and commissions and council committees. Last week, my staff and I attended the Police Jury Association convention in Shreveport. I had the opportunity to meet and network with my colleagues from around the state and learn about programs and ideas that they are implementing in their parishes that could also benefit ours. I attended the new parish president's training as well as benefited from the many and various programs and workshops provided there. It is extremely helpful and beneficial for the convention was the opportunity to visit the Consolidated Waterworks and Sewers District of Bossier Parish. As many of you know, Bossier is a suburban community of Shreveport and has experienced tremendous growth over the years. In turn, this growth has put a strain on infrastructure. In 2004, Bossier began the process of implementing a parish-wide sewer treatment system. Since 2010, they have acquired 5,000 customers with a monthly usage rate of $42.50. Here you can see aerial views of the Bossier treatment facility next to Red River. The particular plant can process 6 million gallons of wastewater per day. It utilizes the racetrack oxidation ditch activated sludge treatment process with chlorine disinfection. The visit gave us valuable insights and information that we are studying now to incorporate into our needs. As you've seen in all our other endeavors, we try to use everything we have to its fullest. And we can't use it, we find someone who can. An excellent case in point is OSHEP. They were well prepared for disasters and emergencies, and they kept supplies on hand to help people in need. We found that we had a large supply of materials that had been generously donated that were able to reach were close to reaching their expiration dates. Instead of letting them go to waste, we were able to donate them to area charities who could use them right away. Kudos to OSEP team for their outreach. Finally, we reinstituted the Employee of the Month. To be considered, employees are nominated by their supervisors and decisions are made by the administration. I am proud to announce that our Employee of the Month for February is our floodplain administrator, Marcy Shivers. Marcy has had her hands full implementing the field ordinance in addition to her regular duties, which include keeping the parish in compliance with our National Flood Insurance Program. At this time, I would like to ask Marcy to come forward to the podium so that she can be recognized for her hard work and dedication to Ascension Parish government. So you can see that we have been pretty busy on behalf of the people. So, Marcy.
I'm Marcy Shivers, the Ascension Parish Floodplain Manager. I've been employed here with the parish for 17 years. It's an honor to be acknowledged as the parish's Employee of the Month. I look forward to working with the parish's council, administration, and the community for the improvement and implementation of the National Flood Insurance Program. Thank you, guys.
I've been working with Marcy in the private sector for a long time, and she's always done a phenomenal job, always been very professional. And so it was an honor for me to present her with this Employee of the Month, even though she works hard all year. But it was just great to recognize her, and so it was a personal privilege of mine to give her that honor. But yeah, I'm happy to entertain any questions you may have.
Mr. Ogeron.
Thank you. Mr. President, the information you received from Bossier, the sewer plant they have, is that supplemented by the gambling industry and the income that the parish receives from the gambling that takes place there?
No, they didn't mention anything about a sales tax or anything. They strictly go off of what they've done is utilize grants and grant monies to build out their system, and they're 4250. They put up about $300,000 a year to supplement that program. So they're not quite in the black yet, but yeah. So not to my knowledge.
So the parish itself is supplementing 300,000, and that's it.
Yes.
Towards it. Okay. Well, good. I wish I could have made it. You know, I was set to join you guys on that, and then stuff at the office came up. But yeah, I'm glad you guys got that info.
And we'd
Thank you
love
much.
to get that to the Utilities Committee and the rest of the council so they can see some of the numbers and some of the programs there, and just so y'all have as much information as we have.
Okay. Appreciate it.
Mr. Thomas.
Yeah, Mr. President, I'd like to thank you for the commodities sort of that was given out last Tuesday, and also thank the volunteers that was there and did a great job. I had a lot of compliments on the organization of how things was ran. And I'd like to thank all of those that participated, all of those that was involved, and especially the volunteers. Thank you, and appreciate it. Very grateful.
Thank you, and I want to thank you for your participation and the participation of the council members in that program. It was just a great honor to see all the volunteers come out and the community coming together to help people. It was a phenomenal event.
Any other questions, gentlemen? Don't see any at this time. Thank you so much,
Thank you so
Mr.
much.
President. Number 7, the consent agenda. Madam Secretary.
Approval of change order number 1 in the amount of $14,884.72, EP Bro Electrical LLC, for the PUA ground storage electrical modification CWEF for year 2015-201 CWEF grant number 1516 CWEF ASC 0001 to add a 150A breaker in the new MCC for future pump, total budget not to exceed $120,000. Adoption of February 6, 2020 regular council meeting minutes.
Motion to approve the consent.
Does anyone wish to remove an item from the consent agenda?
Motion to
Then
approve.
I have a motion by Councilman Cagnolati to
Second.
approve, a second by Councilman Mason. Are there any objections? Hearing none, that motion passes. Item number 8A, acceptance of the lowest responsive bid for Type HP High Performance Coal Mix Material Resources Incorporated. Ms. Cynthia LeBlanc, Interim Purchasing Director.
Good evening.
Good evening.
On February 4th, 2020, the Purchasing Department received 4 bids for Type HP High Performance Coal Mix. After review, the Purchasing Department and the Department of Public Works recommends accepting the lowest responsive bid submitted by Material Resources Incorporated, and to authorize the parish president to enter into any applicable agreement or contract for this material.
Yes, Mr. Lawler.
First, I'll make a motion, but I'd also like to add something. On February 5th, Councilman Ogeron and I attended the Louisiana Local Technical Assistance Program it's called Basics of a Good Road, or for a Good Road. And it's a thing that LSU puts on, and they teach you about asphalt, roads, maintenance, preventative maintenance, a wonderful program that we attended. It was a day-long program. One of the things that they talked about was this high-performance coal mix, and they had a list, excuse me, of authorized, I should say, dealers here in the state, and one of them was this company that we chose, and their material meets all the LADOTD standards. So we're choosing something good here. Great job. Just want to add that.
Thank you.
I concur with Councilman Lawler. Very fine job in picking out that particular company.
Thank you.
So Mr. Lawler has
That's
the
a motion,
motion,
yes.
and I assume Mr.
That's a
Ogeron
second.
has the second. Are there any questions? Any objections? Hearing none, that motion passes. Item B, acceptance of the lowest responsive bid for supply and delivery of liquid CL2 for water treatment, DPC Enterprises. Ms. Cynthia.
On February 4, 2020, the purchasing department received one bid for the supply and delivery of liquid CL2 for water treatment. After review, the purchasing department and the public utilities department recommends accepting the lowest responsive bid submitted by DPC Enterprises and to authorize the parish president to enter into any applicable agreement or contract for this material.
Motion.
Have a motion by Councilman Thomas,
Second.
second by Councilman Melanson. Any questions? Any objections? Hearing none, that motion passes. Item C, approval of Amendment 3 to Automated Fleet Fuel System and Supplier. Excuse me.
Mr. Robert has his hand up.
Yes,
Oh,
Mr. Robert.
I just wanted to ask to recuse myself from item C.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Robert has been recused. Approval of an amendment number 3 to Automated Fleet Fuel System and Supplier for on-site dispensing, off-site dispensing, and bulk deliveries to renew the existing contract for an additional year beginning on February 1st, 2020. Mr. Dawson.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair, Council. This is just a renewal of the contract that we currently have in place to provide fuel, off-site fuel, and especially fuel to the new filling station that we have over on Church Point.
I have a motion by Councilman Dempsey Lambert, second by Councilman Travis Turner. Are there any questions?
Madam Chair.
Any objections? Yes, Mr. Cagnolati.
Do we, with the new depot, I guess, the DPW, do we see an increase in volume, or is it just going to be convenient to have the trucks go there and fill?
It's just going to be convenient for the trucks to go there, and I think that having it available for them to get the fuel before they go out to their sites and that kind of thing, I think it's going to work very well.
Very good. If you haven't seen it, it's nice. Very nice.
So I have a motion and a second. Any questions? Any objections? Hearing none, that motion passes.
Thank you.
Item D, Enterprise License Agreement with ESRI Incorporated for GIS software and support for technology in the amount of $75,000. Mr. O'Day, thank you.
Good evening, Madam Chair, Council. This is the GIS software that the parish has been using for a few years now. We were able to negotiate and keep the price the same. This is the software that allows us to put our maps out there to the public to be able to consume the GIS data that we create, as well as the software that our staff uses internally to actually create the GIS data.
Thank
Motion.
you. I have a
Second.
motion by Mr. Mason, a second by Mr. Cagnolati. Are there any questions? Any objections? Hearing none, that motion passes. Item E, renewal of a contract with Southland Fire and Safety Equipment for inspection, calibration, and necessary repairs to instruments, valves, and nozzles, fire extinguishers, breathing cylinders, fire helmets, and other various equipment, not to exceed $25,100. Mr. Steve Hardy here? Or is, I have a motion by Mr. Dempsey Lambert.
Second.
Second by Mr. John Cagnolati. Are there any questions? Any objections? Hearing none, that motion passes. Item F, Certificate of Substantial Completion, FY 2015-2016, CWEF Grant, Parish Grant Number 1701S, Ground Storage Electrical Modifications. Gavin?
Thank you, Madam Chair, Council. This is just for the substantial completion of the project. Like we mentioned in the previous meeting, the project had to be done by February 13th, and it was completed, and this is just to close out the project.
Motion.
I have a
Second.
motion by Councilman
Second.
Thomas, a second by Councilman Melanson. Any questions? Any objections? Hearing none, that motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 9, Planning and Zoning Recommendations. Item A, Zoning Review, ID PZ-220920 for Dwight Poirier, duly authorized for the Robert Family Partnership Number 1 located on the east side of Cully Broussard, approximately 300 feet north of Louisiana Highway 42, to amend the Ascension Parish zoning map from medium-intensity residential, RM, to Crossroads Commercial, CC. Zoning Commission recommends approval. We will be voting to accept or deny the recommendation of the Zoning Commission. Mr. Robert will be recusing.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Mr. Poirier, any
Good evening.
comments?
No, we're just requesting this it's brought about by the changes in Highway 42, where it's gonna create some ingress and egress problems. And it's currently under use as the same. It's just that these two lots are not zoned commercial. So we've met with Councilman Lawler, and we've got unanimous approval from the zoning, and we just request that your consideration to approve the request.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Lawler.
Yeah, I just want to say I met with you and your clients, and y'all were very giving. We all want a beautiful Highway 42, and y'all going to make some changes and try and keep others there, which I greatly appreciate. The people of District 7 and everybody around there appreciates that. Great job. I look forward to seeing a brand-new Shell station there in the future. Motion.
Mr. Ogeron.
Mr. Poirier, I understand through the conversations you had with Councilman Lawler that your clients have agreed to save several of those oak trees. I think it's 3
Yes,
of
sir.
the oak trees.
There's currently 4 live oak trees on the property. One is not going to be able to be saved, but it's also one that's not in very good health, from what we understand. But the other 3 will be saved and modifications made to make sure they're protected.
Fantastic. Thank you for that. Thank you for your work.
Motion to approve?
I have a motion by Councilman Chase Malassaw, second by Councilman John Cagnolati to approve. Are there any questions? Any objections? Hearing none, that motion passes. I have been remiss, and I need to correct that in the House tonight, I see our State Senator Ed Price back there. Mr. Price, welcome. Thank you for being here. And I see our esteemed Judge, Alvin Turner. Judge Turner, thank you for being here. I hope I didn't miss any other elected officials in the House tonight. If I did, I apologize. Pardon?
I want to recognize Tommy for the 5th.
Oh, and for the 5th or 6th or 7th or 8th time, Tommy Martinez is in the house. Glad to see you, sir. And thank you all for being here. It's a pleasure to have you in this chamber. So I have a motion, a second, no objections. That one has passed and gaveled, and we're ready to move on to item number 10, public hearings. 10A, reading of an ordinance to revoke a 15-foot servitude running along the northern property line of Lot 19, owned by Cody Scallon, of the Maple Woods Estate subdivision property. Mr. Parrington.
Purpose to revoke a 15-foot servitude running along the northern property line of Lot 19, owned by Cody Scallon of the Maplewood Estates subdivision. Property is depicted on the map showing the final plat of Maplewood Estates, being the subdivision of 45-plus acre tracts and lots 270 through 285, Treadle Land subdivision, third filing by Sigma Consulting Group, instrument number 716624, dated October 10, 2008. Whereas the petitioner Cody Scallon is petitioning the Ascension Parish Council to revoke the 15-foot servitude running along the northern property line of Lot 19, owned by Cody Scallon of the Maplewood Estates subdivision. Property is depicted on the map showing the final plat of Maplewood Estates, being the subdivision of 45-plus acre tract and lots 270 and 85, Treadle Land subdivision, third filing by Sigma Consulting Group, instrument number 716624, dated October 10, 2018. Whereas the Planning and Engineering Department have reviewed and researched said request and have no objection to the revocation. The Parish of Ascension hereby ordains that it grants approval to revoke a 15-foot servitude running along the northern property line of Lot 19, owned by Cody Scallon of the Maplewood Estates subdivision property. Property is depicted on a map showing final plat of Maplewood Estates, being subdivision of 45-plus acre tract and lots 270 through 285, Treadle Land subdivision, third filing by Sigma Consulting Group, instrument number 716624, dated October 10, 2008, uses the basis of the exhibit attached to and made a part as Exhibit A. All ordinance or parts or ordinances in conflict herewith are hereby and henceforth repealed. If any provision of this ordinance is held invalid, such invalidity should not affect the other provisions herein, which shall be given effect without the invalid provisions. To this end, the provisions of the ordinance are hereby declared severable. This ordinance shall become effective 15 days after the adoption. The ordinance has been submitted to a vote. The vote thereon was as follows.
Motion to open public hearing.
I have a motion by Councilman Turner and a second by Councilman Cagnolati to open a public hearing.
Motion to close.
A motion by Councilman Turner, second by Councilman Cagnolati.
Motion to move the ordinance.
To close the public hearing. Motion by Councilman Lawler to move the ordinance. Chair would entertain a motion to second. Motion by Councilman Melanson to move the ordinance. Are there any objections or any questions first? Any objections? Hearing none, that motion passes. Item D, reading of an ordinance to create a road infrastructure district designated as the Parish of Ascension Road Infrastructure District number IDD-2020-01, the Villas at Rosewood subdivision, pursuant to the Ascension Parish Unified Land Development Code, Appendix 4, Subdivision Regulations, Section 17-4011, approval of final plat. Procedure F, Infrastructure Development District. Mr. Parrington.
To create a road infrastructure district designated as Ascension Parish Road Infrastructure District IDD 2020-101 pursuant to Ascension Parish Unified Land Development Code, Appendix 4, Subdivision Regulations, Section 17-4011, approval of final plat F, Infrastructure Development District. Whereas Ascension Parish is a local government subdivision is defined by Article 6, Section 44, Louisiana Constitution, 1974. Whereas the Parish of Ascension is the governing responsible body over subdivisions, and whereas Article 6 of the Home Rule Charter of Ascension Parish adopted May 4th, 1993 identifies the process and manner to adopt ordinances regulating the lands of the parish. Now, therefore, be it ordained by the Ascension Parish governing authority that a road infrastructure district designated as Ascension Parish Road Infrastructure District IDD 2020-01 be created pursuant to Unified Land Development Code of the Ascension Parish, Louisiana, Appendix 4, Subdivision Regulations, Section 17-4011, approval of final plat procedure F, Infrastructure Development District with the boundaries of the Road Infrastructure District defined as and made a part of the subdivision of Ascension Parish named the Villas at Rosewood subdivision is more fully described in Exhibit A. Petition and exhibit to create an Ascension Parish Road Infrastructure District attached hereto made a part hereof. In the event any portion of the ordinance is ever held invalid or unconstitutional for any reason by any court of competent jurisdiction over it, such portion shall be deemed a separate, distinct, and independent provision and shall not affect the remaining portions of the ordinance. This ordinance shall be in full effect as submitted by law. The ordinance has been submitted to a vote. The vote thereon was as follows.
Motion open.
Have a motion by Councilman Turner, second by Councilman, which one of you was that? Dempsey Lambert to open a public hearing.
Motion closed.
I have a motion by Councilman Mason, second by Councilman Lawler to close the public hearing.
Motion to move the ordinance.
I have a motion by Councilman Turner to move the ordinance. Is there a second? I have a second by Councilman Cagnolati. Are there any questions? Any objections? Hearing none, that motion passes. Item G, reading of an ordinance to allow the parish president to purchase or otherwise acquire parcels, right-of-ways, and or servitude for the Roddy Road at Church Point Roundabout. Mr. Parrington.
To authorize the Parish of Ascension through the Office of Parish President to purchase or otherwise acquire certain parcels, rights-of-ways, and/or servitudes for Roddy Road at Church Point Road Roundabout. Whereas the Ascension Parish government desires to acquire certain immovable property, hereinafter referred to as the property. Whereas there is a need and public purpose for the acquisition of certain immovable property for road improvements for the Roddy Road at Church Point Road Roundabout, hereinafter referred to as the project. Whereas the Ascension Parish government hereby desires to acquire the property, servitudes, and/or rights-of-ways and authorize the Office of Parish President to do whatever is necessary to enter negotiations to acquire said property, servitudes, and right-of-ways. Now therefore be it ordained by the Ascension Parish governing authority of the Parish of Ascension, State of Louisiana, to acquire by purchase, donation, or servitude all property, servitudes, and/or rights-of-ways as determined needed to construct the project. And be it further ordained pursuant to all applicable provisions of law, the Office of Parish President is directed and authorized to do whatever is necessary to acquire the property, servitudes, and/or right-of-way. Be it further ordained that the Office of Parish President is authorized and instructed to proceed with the acquisition of property, servitudes, and/or rights-of-way in a timely and orderly manner. And be it further ordained that the Office of the Parish President is authorized to exercise its discretion in acquiring property, servitudes, or rights-of-ways together with all agreements and all transactions necessary to carry out the intent of the ordinance. Be it further ordained that if purchased, the price shall not exceed the fair market value of the property as evidenced by appraisal valuation obtained or supplied to the parish, plus some 10% above fair market value in fleet fees and costs. Be it further ordained that any and all actions previously taken by the office of parish presidents and further of the actions and contemplated herein are ratified and accepted accordingly. All ordinances, supports, or ordinances in conflict herewith are hereby repealed. If any provision in this ordinance shall be held invalid, such invalidity should not affect the provisions herein which can be given effect without invalid provision, and to this end the provisions of this ordinance are hereby declared to be severable. This ordinance shall be in full effect as permitted by law. The ordinance has been submitted to a vote. The vote thereon was as follows.
Motion to open public
I have a
hearing.
motion by Councilman Cagnalotti and a second by Councilman Michael Mason to open a public hearing.
Motion to close.
I have a motion by Councilman Travis Turner
Second.
and a second by Councilman Joel Rollbear to close the public hearing.
Motion to move the
I have a
ordinance.
motion by Councilman Turner and a second by Councilman Cagnalotti to move the ordinance. Are there any questions?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Ogeron.
Chairwoman, at this time, I'm not sure who we have in the administration that would be handling these right-of-way acquisitions. I know that several of us have asked the administration to provide us, the hierarchy, since the change, since the transitions, who's in what department and who's heading up some departments. And at this time, I'm thinking that until we have the information, knowing that the person who will be responsible for obtaining these right-of-ways, that they're duly qualified and that they meet the requirements of that position, I think we should maybe defer a vote on this particular issue until we get to that stage. I don't want someone in charge of purchasing these right-of-ways that may be underqualified and put the parish in jeopardy. So I ask that we, I ask for a second to move to defer until we have that meeting with the parish president and we can find out who's going to be in charge of this particular process.
There's a motion
To defer.
to defer. Is there a second?
Second.
I have a second by Councilman Thomas to defer. Mr. President.
We have H&TB, who we pay a lot of money to do this and handle this business. This has been known, and the committee chair of transportation can let you know that's in good hands and has been in good hands, and we follow their instruction. We pay them a lot of money for their expertise in this field. So I would allow the committee chair of transportation if he wants to comment on that. But
Sure.
I think we're in good hands.
Be happy to. And it may just be that our two new councilmen are not aware. So, Mr. Lawler.
I think that's it. HNTB is contracted with two private firms that do exactly this type of work. They handle right-of-way acquisition. So far, they've done it on several properties throughout the parish and have done an excellent job. And part of what this entails is they go out, they evaluate the proposals, the values of the property, they negotiate with the people, they go out and talk to the individuals, and so far, I've actually had compliments on how well they've done. I know in certain roadways, they've gone out and we've had a couple issues with individuals that didn't understand why and how it was happening. They went out and explained it, and I actually got a phone call from somebody saying they were doing a great job. So I think it is in good hands right now, and I'd like to see this process keep moving forward. Thank you, though.
What assures us that it's HNTB, so that's what it's HNTB?
Yes.
That's going to take these actions on behalf of the parish president.
That's part of the Move Ascension program.
We
So
have a
that's-
contract.
All of this, yeah, we have contracts with them. I forget off the top of my head with the name. I'm having a Klobuchar moment. If y'all watch
You're
the
having a
videos.
Terry Gazzo moment. I can't ever remember anybody's
But
name.
I can't remember the names of the two companies, but no, they're contracted to do exactly this work, and they have specific contracts for each of the Move Ascension projects to do this precise work.
Mr. Robayer.
And I kind of want to reiterate what they are saying, that this is a pretty black and white process of how we go through this. You go through the appraisals, and it's pretty standard formula. I would be very hesitant to defer this to a later date just because it's impeding the progress of what we're doing with Move Ascension. I mean, time is money. I think we need to get these improvements done as quick as possible.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? That we
So
will vote on
I guess
the
the question
we
I have at this point is, why does the ordinance not say HNTB?
Mr. Parrington.
Because we're authorizing the parish president to sign the documents. We already have contracts with HNTB to do this work.
Okay,
That's all this is doing, is authorizing the parish president to sign.
okay. That clarifies it for me. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much. So do you want to withdraw your motion?
I'll withdraw my motion.
All right. Is that good with you, Ms. Coach Thomas? Thank you very much. So we have we've gotten through the public hearing. We now need a motion to.
Motion to move.
Second.
Councilman Mason has made a motion to move. Who was the second? Mr. Robert. Are there any further questions? Any objections? Hearing none, that motion passes. Gentlemen, I do thank you for your questions. I think that it's important that when you don't know exactly what's happening, that you ask. So don't ever be reluctant to. And thank you, Mr. Lawler and Mr. President, for engaging to solve this problem. All right. Item number 11. At this point, we will have a speaker on this item. But first, I will need a motion to recess the council and then to reconvene as a Board of Appeals.
I'll second that.
I have a motion by Councilman Cagnolati and a second by Councilman Lawler to recess the council meeting. Now I will need
Motion to reconvene.
a motion
as
by
a
Mr.
appeals
Lawler,
board.
I second.
a second by Mr. Robert to reconvene as a Board of Appeal. This is item A, the Corinne Dixon property, Lot 11YZ, family partition, and this is the appeal of a decision.
Mr. Chair.
What we will be looking to accomplish is to either approve or deny the family partition. We're not voting in any way on what the Planning and Zoning Commission did. We are voting directly on the approval or denial of the family partition. I have a speaker, Mr. Michael Hawk. Mr. Hawk, you'll have 3 minutes.
I'm voting against this.
You're speaking against it, Mr. Hawk. We
I-
vote.
I know I'm not much on being in public.
I'm
but,
sorry. Look, we all do that all the time.
Well, I mean, it's, all this stuff is, I mean, I've talked with the planning commission and I've told them, and I've seen the specs and stuff, how they have it. I disapprove of it, but from what I've seen with the half acres and stuff, and, I just, it's, to me, it's rental property. It's not family. Because everybody there is renters. And if I was gonna put my mom, dad, whoever right there, it wouldn't be next to all the construction and stuff, with all the construction, the concrete truck coming through there. Now granted, it's raining, they can't come through there, but they'll come through there, and when it's dry, they're through there all the time. I wouldn't put my parents there. I'd put them on the other end, because they have the whole property all the way down to 933, and it's a lot quieter on that far end. And, you know, excuse me.
It's okay. Look, I have a lot of anxiety around public speaking too, and we're not gonna let them know it.
It's just with other stuff. I wouldn't put my family, you know, right there. And like I said, I'm pretty sure it's going to be all rental property. You know, with all the and the only other part is the construction is. I'm just going to say it is that with all the construction, I'm worried about something getting in my well water, because my well is 30 foot from the property line, with all the concrete and everything else that's there. So that's all I really wanted to say.
Thank you very much.
Thank
We appreciate you coming. Are there any other speakers on this matter? And
Mr. Chair.
so, is the planning and zoning, is anyone from the planning department here to address this issue? Mr. Jerome. Hi, Jerome.
Madam Chairman, members of the Appeals Board, I'm here to answer any questions you might have on this. The Planning Commission denied this petition, and they're here to appeal and are requesting your approval. Right? I have Miss Ellen from McLean Taylor, who's representing the property owner, if you'd like to ask them some questions at this point. Right.
Please, Ms. McLean, please.
Hey, I'm actually Tim O'Brien. I'm actually Corinne's husband. She's has the flu and couldn't attend. She,
Thank you for not coming.
yeah, she actually tested positive, so she stayed home.
Yeah, thank you.
But anyway, yeah, so we're just appealing the family petition that we had requested. It's gonna go to her father and her mother who are divorced. As far as the other property in the front, it's really has nothing to do with the family petition. They are rentals, but I mean, they met the criteria. This property meets the criteria for the family petition as well. And to what they do with it is up to them. But if y'all have any questions or.
Are there any questions? Of this?
I
Mr.
move to approve. It meets the requirements for the family partition, so I will. make
Mr.
that
Lambert
motion.
makes a motion to
I'll second
approve.
that.
Have a second by Mr. Ogeron. Are there any questions by any other members of the Appeals Board? Are there any objections? Hearing none, that motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. So now we will have we'll have to have a motion to reconvene as a council.
Motion to
Have a
reconvene as the
by
council.
By Mr. Turner and a second by Mr. Lawler to reconvene as council. Thank you very much. I think I might have missed the one to recess as an appeals board, but I don't think we had to do that. At this time, we will have an executive session. The chair will entertain a motion to go into
Motion.
executive session. Have a
Second.
motion by Mr. Chase Melanson, second by Mr. Cagnolotti. Roll call vote. This is the Mark Spring versus Ascension Parish property damage claim.
Spun right in my chair.
You're going to get a motion to reconvene?
Yeah, I'll wait till they get in.
Yeah.
No, no, no. Yes.
Motion to reconvene.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilman Chase Melanson, a second by Councilman Aaron Lawler to reconvene.
I'll make a motion that we extend authority up to $20,000 to settle the claim.
A second.
Have a motion by Councilman Lawler and a second by Councilman Melanson to settle the claim. Are there any questions? Any objections? Hearing none, that motion passes.
I'd like to make a motion to reconvene executive session. Second.
We will, however, at this time, we have a speaker
Oh,
on
I'm
item
sorry.
number 12. That's okay. Just give me 1 second. We have a speaker on item number 12, executive session, and then we will go into that executive session. So at this time, Mr. Charlie Stevens would like to speak. Mr. Stevens, welcome.
Beg your pardon?
I said, welcome.
Okay, thank you. You know, I asked the question tonight, what am I doing here at 82 years old? Why am I here? And the answer is simple arithmetic. I am here tonight because I believe in the win of justice and fairness. Justice and fairness for the parish president and all of the employees. December 1996, I joined this government to develop the Human Resource Department under the first charter form of government. And I shall never forget, I walked in, and President Martinez made it crystal clear to me, developing this department, this is your baby. You know what I am expecting. And I got the message, and I went to work. I was very elated knowing that we were changing our government. I was elated because going flying through the window, leaving out, was I say, you say, they say, we say, they may have said. And at the same time, I look, and I saw coming through the front door the Home Rule Charter, 504, accountability and documentation in a timely fashion. Employees appointed by the president serve at his pleasure. Regular employees have protected under the Home Rule Charter, personnel policy, manual, and documentation. They are not employee at will. Appointed employee work at the pleasure of president. You can find this. You can find it. Look for it. It's there. I am a little concerned about confidential information. With the policy manual, 504, that is very important. How well are we protecting confidential information concerning our employees.
Mr. Stevens, I regret to have to ask you, but can you wrap it up?
Yes, bring it to a
Thank you.
close now.
Thank you.
I would like to know how the hit list got out in the community. How did it get out there? Confidential information.
Point of order.
Mr. Stevens,
man, I don't-
please. I need to ask you to wrap it up.
Okay, that's the last thing then. If regularly the employee is at will, why have an appeal and a hearing? Personnel Policy Manual, Section 5, Working Condition Item, Employee and Separation.
Thank you very much, sir. At this time, the chair would entertain a motion to go into executive session.
Motion.
Have a motion by Mr. Chase Melanson, a second by Coach Thomas to go into executive session. The first employee appeal will be Ms. D. Berthloft. Ms. D, will you, it's not? Pardon? I'm sorry, I hit it again. My little yes is hard to hit. So we are going to be going into executive session. Ms. D will be joining us, all the attorneys, and we'll see you in the back.
Oh, sorry.
It's just my hip.
Exactly.
Motion to reconvene.
A motion by Mr. Lawler and a second by Mr. Cagnolotti to reconvene. Chair would entertain a motion to,
Mr. Chair, I would like to offer a motion to bring back Ms. Darling, to appoint, Ms.
to
Berthelot.
overturn the termination.
Yes,
Mr.
ma'am.
Have a
Have a
motion
second.
by Mr. Lambert, and a second by Mr. Ogeron to overturn the termination of this employee. There cannot be any discussion since this took place in executive session. So, Madam Secretary, if you will just open the voting, please. Everybody understands that this was a motion to overturn. I'm not asking because I want it to be different. I just I'm supposed to ask, so that we make sure that we get this right. You are voting yes on a motion to overturn or no on a motion to overturn. Thank you very much. You can close them, Senator. The vote is 7-4.
Motion to return to executive session.
So just to explain, 7-4 does not, you needed 8 votes because there was 2/3 needed to do it.
Correct.
A second.
Have a motion and a second to return to executive session. Chair would entertain a motion to reconvene.
Motion to reconvene.
Thank you very much. At this time, the chair would entertain motion regarding the employee appeal.
Determination.
Have a motion by Councilman Travis Turner and a second by Councilman Thomas to overturn the determination. Madam Secretary, will you open the... So Councilman Ogeron is not present, so the vote is 7-3.
That means it's overturned. That's 2/3.
Thank you. Okay. The next order of business is another employee appeal that will take place in the public. Cinnamon, do you have my paperwork, please? I think we took it in the back, and I've left it in there because there's some things I need to, since we're doing this in public, there's some things I need to read.
Oh, shit. I gotta get this off.
Good evening, everyone. Could you give me just a moment, please? I have something I have to do, some things I have to say. I had some paperwork in the back that Cinnamon went to get. I'm sorry. Please give me just a moment. I may have to go find that. I apologize. So since this appeal is in an open session, Mr. Parrington will advise the employee as well as the public speakers and the council on the legal procedures of an open appeal.
Specifically, because other employees have you have chosen to be in the public, you can discuss your situation, but you are not free to discuss the competency or character of other public employees. That's not allowed in this. Every employee who is demoted or terminated or has a disciplined or non-promoted has the right to appeal to the Employee Review Board. That board was not able to get a quorum, so now the matter comes before the council. The council will hear the employee's appeal, and the employee can be returned by 2/3 vote of the council.
Thank you, Mr. Parrington. In this process, you will have 10 minutes to present supporting evidence to overturn the recommendation of the parish president. And then the parish president's attorneys will have 10 minutes to present evidence supporting their decision. And then you would have 5 minutes after that for rebuttal. The floor after that will be opened for questions from the council. Do you have any question about that?
Not so far, no.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay. So you can begin. Thank you.
Okay. First of all, I'd like to thank everyone for taking the time to hear my appeal. Congratulate to the new councilman, new parish president, as I did for the inauguration. Basically, I don't feel that I was terminated for a reason. What I was told when I was brought in was that I was being terminated. My question was, what did I do wrong or what did I not do? And the answer was, I didn't do anything wrong. I was just being terminated. I somewhat sat in shock and disbelief, not understanding. even after hearing rumors of a hit list and being told that over the Thanksgiving holidays, discussions had taken place at a family event about people being terminated, social media posts posting my name as one of the people on the hit list. I still chose to be positive when I got called in for the meeting. I went to the governmental complex and looked at every positive angle I could that the rumors weren't true. Upon entering the room, I was introduced to a John Diaz, and Mr. O'Neill was in the room as well. And they proceeded to let me know that I was being terminated. As I said, there was no reason given, just that I was being terminated. The next thing, I said, well, are y'all aware that we've just received state and national recognition and we're up for a national award in February? And the response was kind of just looking at me. And I said, does anyone have the certification to receive that award? Because you have to go through a process, not only being administrative specialist, I've also worked with the Keep Ascension Beautiful program. And it was told to me that I had done nothing wrong, but I was just being replaced. I basically would just like to know why so many of us, and I just feel like it was politically motivated. You know, we weren't given a chance. No one requested, to my knowledge, to see my HR folder, to have any write-ups or anything negative. And now the litter program and recycling is all you're reading and hearing about. When I was working the program, I didn't receive much cooperation from other workers. And now I just feel that I was wrongfully terminated. And until you're put in that position, which most of you are all new, you know, I pray that y'all are not put in a position to just not even be heard, your vote not counted, work ethics being discriminated against. You know, it's sad, and I just would like to have my job back.
Are you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Diaz?
Should I sit?
Yeah, you can sit down, sweetie. Thank you.
Good evening, Council. Jeff Diaz on behalf of the administration. There's a lot of confusion about all these cases that we're here for and have been here for, about what is the standard of an administration coming in's ability to dictate where his government is going to go and how that affects our employees. So if anything, I feel this is a tough position for you, tough position for me, tough position for our parish president. He gets elected having made promises to change government. He gets elected making promises to move us forward in a different direction. He gets elected, his wisdom gets elected on a promise that I'm going to reduce the size of government, I'm going to make it more efficient, I'm going to make it structurally sound. So he comes in and he makes some decisions. And when he makes those decisions, he's got to look at the laws that govern this parish, that have governed this parish for a long time. And I know it affects our employees because it affects me. I've been here since 2000, and I've done a lot of these, and I never like any of them. But the only thing that we can use, that he can use, and that Tommy Martinez could use, and Ronnie Hughes could use, and Kenny Matassa could use, and now Parish President Quintmont could use is the same thing that governs all of us. It is our Constitution. It's called a charter. And it says that the parish president has the right to remove employees. He has that right. It's in Section 3. And then we couple that, I forgot her name, but she was not terminated for cause. She was not terminated because she did anything wrong. I don't want anybody in this room to think that she did anything wrong, that she was terminated for cause. She was terminated as an at-will termination, which our charter lets us do, lets the parish president do. If you look at page 9 of your personnel manual, which has been in effect almost as long as this 1993 charter, you will see, guys, this is simple. Section 1A, first sentence, employment with the parish is at will. At will employment is an employment relationship in which the employer or the employee may end the working relationship, get ready, at any time, for any reason, without fearing any legal action. And I know that sounds harsh, but that's the law of this council. He didn't pass that. This guy gets elected, he comes in first day, he's got to run a government. He's got to look at the laws that were put in place by our ancestors. My dad was on the original charter commission. I don't recall him ever talking to me about this, but I'm reading it now. And we're here because he made an at-will decision to terminate not just this employee, and not 150, and not 50, and not 30. I keep hearing this. All these people, blood in the streets, everybody getting fired. That's not true. It's less than 10. He made decisions for workforce restructuring. He has that right. He's an elected official. He made the decision. He's got to go home and think about these decisions he's made. He's got to go home and think about these folks that he was empowered by your laws, our laws, to do. What kind of workforce restructuring, Diaz? Talk to us. Tell us what that means. Remove and replace staff. He gets to do that. If he doesn't like Cinnamon, you're gone. He gets to do that. She can appeal. Budget impacts. He could save money through cutting employment. He can do that. You gave him that right. The people gave him that right. They elected him to do that. Abolish positions. He can abolish positions as part of workforce restructuring. He can eliminate duplicative positions. And I don't know if any of those things apply to this situation or the one before or the one before. I'm just telling you what the law says. And this law has been upheld so many times, I'm tired of talking about it. St. Tammany Parish. First Circuit of Louisiana. They got some lawyers in this room, they got judges in this room, and they all know how to read a case. And the First Circuit has said, at-will employment may be terminated without assigning any reason for doing so. Beyond that, we're going to add something to it. Beyond that, the reasons for termination, I got to be honest, I read this and it hurt my heart to know that we could actually do this. Listen to what judges told us. 3 judges. First Circuit, not Judge Turner, had nothing to do with this. Beyond that reason, that you could fire for any reason at all, termination need not be accurate. He could give you inaccurate reasons. Termination need not be reasonable. He can be unreasonable. Termination need not be fair. He can be unfair. But he wasn't none of that in this case. He didn't come in here and fire half the staff. He didn't come in and fire 30% of the staff. He didn't pick some arbitrary number. That's why we have so few. But he has that right. And this employee didn't do it. I don't want anybody to leave this room thinking this employee did anything wrong, or that he terminated her because she had some bad misconduct or something was wrong or it was a political fire. It wasn't none of that. It was firing because our parish president decided that he wanted to do some workforce restructuring, which the people of this great parish elected him to do. That's all I have. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
Thank you, Mr. Diaz. I don't think anybody has any questions. Mr. DeArmond, I believe, wanted to speak, and Mr. Stevens wanted to speak. Mr. Stevens, I'm going to ask Mr. DeArmond to come up first, please.
Thank you for letting me speak. I'm here to support these employees because you're hearing factors of not truth on some of the stuff that's going on. These employees were called in the office and let go, and I understand the parish has the right to fire people at will. But it's sitting as some of you new council members, I'd hate to start my tenure not supporting your employees. Because what you need to understand, during these emergency situations where we have tornadoes and hurricanes, these employees leave their families. They spend 16 to 20 hours out there in the field. So I'd hate to start a tenure off not supporting employees as a new council member. So I hope y'all can support them. Melissa worked for me. She did an excellent job, and she was terminated for no reason. How would you feel to be terminated for no reason? You should have cause to terminate anyone. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Mr. Diarman. Mr. Stevens.
Again, I'd just like to reiterate, and I ask each one of the councilmen in that you have to make this important decision. If you were working for the parish government under the impression that you could not be terminated at any time, think about it. 500 some employees not knowing that they could be terminated at any time without a cause. If the employees had been in service and it would explain to them where they could comprehend it, that I go to work every day and say to their wife, honey, I might be back home. Think about it. I want you to think if you were in that situation. And it seemed like it's plenteous. Now, what are we going to do about it? What are we going to do about it? Are we going to service our employees? I don't care what the state say. Are we going in service our employees to let them understand the circumstances and the situation they come to work in every day? Now, I think I've been in these things for 3 times now. I'm not going to repeat it, but I'm going to close on what I believe. I believe the night watchman's wait will be in vain if the Lord is not watching.
Thank you, Mr. Stevens. Mr. Throckmorton, do you desire to speak, sir? You didn't check a box. I take it that you do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for letting me speak for a few minutes. My name is Richard Throckmorton. I work for the parish. I worked through 3 administrations in this parish. I always didn't have the best job in the world. I'm the person that went out and put stop work permits out. I'm the one that went out and put out abandoned homes. Also, we attempted to do some junk car ordinances also in this parish. I didn't have a great job, but I enjoy working for Ascension Parish. Ascension Parish is a great parish, a good parish, parish I grew up in. Some of you may not know me, but if you're around my age, you remember Richard Throckmorton. I had a great time here, I had great people here. I also was employed by the parish, and Melissa did work for me. You know, like I said, I took care of lots of different things, and at the end of my career, they had Keep America Beautiful. It was a program they had in the parish, and a few administrations ago, they let it go. Keep America Beautiful is a national known organization. It's not easy. There's lots of things you have to do to get involved with Keep America Beautiful. And they kind of put me in charge of that, and Melissa was there with me. We got Keep America Beautiful back in the parish. Let me tell you something right now, Councilman. this parish needs to be cleaned up. You know it, you see it all the time. And another thing about Keep America Beautiful, it's just something you just don't, it doesn't just happen. You gotta do a lot of legwork to get in this national organization. And Melissa did most of that legwork at that time when I was over at Keep America Beautiful. Let me tell you something, Councilman. I'm glad y'all running for election. I'm glad y'all won. Let me tell you something though. When I was in government, people don't say government's too big. That's what people say. Unless you want them to do something for you, then the government's not big enough. You'll find that out. And let me tell you something else. Some of you have been elected. It's a learning process up there. I promise you it's a learning process. You got to care about people. You got to care about people in Ascension Parish. Not just what the law says, it's how you feel. You vote the way you think you should, not what you think the law is supposed to be. Thank you for your time. I enjoy working for Ascension Parish. I wish all you the best in what y'all do. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Throckmorton. The appellate has 5 minutes additional to make further argument or rebuttal.
As I sat back and listened to my previous supervisors speak up for me, and I'm thankful that they did, not knowing that they would. But at the same time, I feel even more upset about the decision that was made by our new parish president. And, you know, this meeting was changed, my appeal was changed at the last minute, and I went ahead with it just because it's what you do. Try to follow chain of command, roll call. So tonight I get here, and again, I feel like I'm doing the best I can with the cards I'm dealt. You know, it's like playing baseball, and then somebody starts playing soccer. You just, you know, you could do the job if you knew the rules of the job. Well, again, I didn't know that I would be not only, well, I knew I would be in front of you all. I didn't know I'd have a professional attorney. And it's awesome. I respect him. I don't have any ill feelings. But I'm just an everyday employee, a worker, a mother, a grandmother. I appreciate his degrees and his education, but this was my profession. This was my livelihood. And I didn't know that that's all of what I would be up against. You know, and I look, you know, I used Google, reconstruction. That was the words that I was told when I was terminated. What does reconstruction mean? It means restructuring the workforce. But my workplace at DPW with the recycling litter program and as an administrative specialist, I wasn't just restructuring, is what I was told. I was being replaced. So another, DPW has not been restructured. I was specifically told, no, we're keeping the program, we're keeping your job duties, we're just replacing you. You can go to the next room now. You know, 2 supervisors that I did not know were going to speak for me tonight all said the same thing. All I'm doing is asking for you all to just look at all the things that are being done, and you use the word restructuring. But if you replace somebody in the same position and then you lose recognition, you know, our parish has been through hell and back. We finally got some recognition, a lot of awards. I begged coworkers to put that out there. Never made it. Now here again, I'm considered a number and X'd out. Thank you, and I hope that you all make a good decision and decide to keep me and overturn the decision of being terminated.
Thank you, ma'am. The floor is open to the council members for questions. Does anyone have any questions? Pardon? I don't know. If they have questions, they'll call up whoever they have a question of. Anybody have a question? If there are no questions, I do have a question. Has anyone been assigned to take your place? I mean, Mr. President, has this job been filled? Okay, thank you.
I'm sorry, I thought you were directing the question
That's
towards me. I
okay.
could hardly hear.
I didn't realize that I needed to make sure I addressed the president. I apologize. I just wanted to make sure. Okay. Thank you very much. All right. Mr. Lawler, do you have a question?
Just making a motion.
Please, go right ahead.
Make a motion to uphold the president's decision.
Second.
Have a, restate your motion, please.
To uphold the president's decision.
Oh, wait.
No.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Lawler and a second by Mr. Mason to uphold the president's decision. Senator, will you please open the voting? Everyone understands how you voted. We're all clear on that. And I'm not asking that because I want someone's opinion to change. I need to make sure, because we've had issues on other occasions. Okay, so thank you very much, Madam Secretary. You can close the machines. All right. The next appeal will take place now. The process will be the same. Since this appeal is being held in open session, Mr. Parrington is going to advise the employee, as well as any public speakers on the behalf of the employee, and the council on the legal procedure. Mr. Parrington.
The competence and character of any third-party employee is not subject to discussion on this. And the council will hear the appeal, and with two-thirds vote, the employee can be returned. If two-thirds is not received, then the employee is not reinstated.
Thank you very much. Now's the time.
Good evening to everyone. I know you guys are tired of hearing, but we have to do this once again. So I would like to start.
We're here for as long as we need to be. Thank you very much.
I would like to start saying that I, myself, am a member of the Personnel Policy Committee, which consists of employees, and we sat last year coming together to make some changes to the current Personnel Policy Manual, as it was cited that there were some different things in there that needed to be addressed and were questionable. So I can speak on behalf of my coworkers. We all understand, or are under the understanding, that the Personnel Policy Manual that is given to us upon hiring says at-will employment. However, it also states that when something is done to you and you do not agree, you have the right to appeal to the Human Resources Review Board and then to full council. So therefore, the decision of the president is not final. That's what he felt to do. But we come tonight before you guys because you have the ultimate decision to determine if we were wrong or if we were right in our employment, and the president chose to do what he chose to do. So I want to start by saying I'm here to appeal the action taken against me on January 7th regarding termination. I'm requesting reinstatement to my position, as I believe that my termination was procedurally improper and that my employment was terminated for discriminatory and political retaliatory reasons. The factual basis for my allegations are as follows. procedurally improper. As I arrived to the surroundings, it was a very hostile and intimidating place. There were police presence everywhere. This has never transpired at the governmental complex as long as we've been to the building, and I have went through several transitions. The HR director was not present. I was told by John Diaz, as you know, the new administration has come in and you're being terminated. We're restructuring the workforce, and in 1 year, if something changes, we will be in touch. I was escorted across the hall to where HR was present. I met with the HR director, received the appeals process, insurance information, vacation pay, and so forth. Oddly, after some time passed, I realized that terminations were not handled the same. And this is something you can discuss with the administration or HR. They can confirm the differences to you. Within a week or so, they call one person back, others will call back. So at this point, being a 12-year tenured employee with the personnel file manual, which you have, and also my personnel file, you can see that there wasn't any reason about myself as to why this transpired. But I never heard anything. So I went on. I was confused, I'm sure, same as you all. As policy requires, I requested an appeal hearing within 10 days of termination. I was informed by HR on Wednesday, February 5th, my appeal hearing was scheduled to go before the HR review board. On Tuesday, February 4th, about 3:30, HR called saying the appeal hearing was canceled. One of the board members could not make it. Administration had decided to go straight to full council to appeal on February 20th, and they needed to know if I was going to go before a public or closed session. As I have no recollection of the governing body ever approving this procedure, nor is it anywhere in the charter or personnel policy manual. In previous accounts, when administration has failed to hold an appeal hearing required within 30 days of termination, as outlined in both the charter and policy manual, the action is overturned, resulting in the employee returning to work. This has happened. Because of administration's inability to follow their policy, a decision was made to go to full council, which is now 44 days after my termination, definitely outside of due process. Obviously, thoughts were, let's just make up the rules as we go along. Never mind her employee rights outlined in the charter and the policy. We'll just do whatever we want. Inefficiencies on our behalf is going to cause yet further undue stress on the previous employee. Discriminatory practices. I'm over 50 years old. I'm an African American female, but I was replaced by a younger Caucasian female who in fact escorted me to my termination meeting. Obviously hired before I was fired. The most tenured administrative employee and the only non-appointed African American administrative employee. That's why the fact that I was the only administrative employee fired was very puzzling. Under the guise of saving money, restructuring the workforce meant firing me to hire a member of the transition team in my position. My salary was commensurate to my vast knowledge of government, many years of experience, and a lengthy list of duties and responsibilities. Parish President, in your own words, it's about saving money and becoming more efficient. You may have saved a very small amount of money, but you receive what you pay for. Replacing staff with persons who have zero governmental employment experience and knowledge and does not meet the position qualifications approved by this governing body does not reflect efficiency. Political retaliation, the said hit list. In late October and early November, discussions started about the rumored hit list and how people were going to be fired. Of course, I, thinking I knew better, that this would never happen in Ascension Parish government. How wrong I was. Specific people were named to be on the list. This caused concerns. It was around that time that the president-elect stated he'd been getting calls from parish employees asking to keep their jobs. Those specific names said to have been on the list definitively coincides with the immediate terminations. I would like to outline that the fact that I have very limited encounters with the parish president, which were only a few phone calls early in 2019. He suggested that we meet, as he would like to discuss some things with me. This meeting never happened, but if he wanted to talk to me then it doesn't make sense why he wouldn't want to have evaluated me now. The current CAO and I communicated via email during the beginning of the transition period, and that being the extent of our interacting. I have never been formally introduced to executive administrator, thus having one additional incoming employee to the administration's office area. That being a former employee member of the transition team, and current executive assistant to the parish president. A hit list? I guess there's some truth to it. In closing, I will address the actions of yesterday. Precisely the day before my hearing, a writing was circulated via website blog. This article attacked several people blatantly, reflecting a biased standpoint. Many things were said to imply that something wrong took place within our purchasing department. This article attacked 3 of the 4 people that are appealing tonight, along with other blacks, clearly choosing to omit the names of any financial employees whose approval was required and had to have been given on all of these documents. It is virtually impossible for me to believe that one has nothing to do with the other. What troubles me the most is this writing can and may start racial divisions within our community. I can only hope that this is not a scare tactic, similar to that was used in the parish presidential runoff. I will stand, and I will not stand idly. I will sit, but I will not sit silently. And I will not allow anyone to impart fear upon me. Here I am, and I've done nothing wrong. I am not afraid. I will speak out against the wrongdoing that's taking place now. We all live in the same community. I'm sure some of you have heard from employees about what is going on. You have heard about this hit list. So tonight I ask you, let's know that the state does have the at-will policy. But under the guise of being hired at Ascension Parish government, our attorney, our in-house counsel can assure you every employee signs for a personnel policy manual. And in that manual, it tells you that you're at will, but if something happens to you, you have the right to go to the review board and then to this governing body. And the decision is made here. Therefore, hiring at will, firing at will does not justify termination. Termination is justified for reasons. And I don't understand the fact that it's being taunted everywhere in the paper that there's $1 million being saved. That's great. But are you bringing in quality workers? Are the people that you brought in more qualified than those that you terminated? I did not come to the parish at my salary. I walked through the door at $38,000 12 years ago. I worked my way through where I am now. My personnel file is in front of all of you guys, and you can see that it was time and effort. Every time there was money attached, there were additional duties or a promotion. That means that I am a worker. I would have been very happy to communicate this to incoming administration. I was not afforded that opportunity because at 7:30 a.m. on January 7th, I was terminated. Ascension Parish government was closed on January 6th for the inauguration. On January 3rd, the parish president at the time was out of the country. So how is it that any of my documents or anything about me was reviewed prior to me coming in? I have no idea, no answers for this council. That's why I bring this to the governing body. There are some things that have to be looked at. I'm not saying that there can't be corrections. I'm not saying that the new administration is not able to work with me or me with them. What I'm saying is every employee should be afforded the right to be assessed and evaluated for their positions, as the president-elect stated in one of his articles. He's not going to fire someone just to fire them. He's going to evaluate the staff that's in and see if they are qualified. And I can assure you, sir, there are some of us that are more qualified for the positions that people are currently holding. And therefore, as in previous administrations, when the elected president comes in, he does bring his own personal set of staff. The staff that's currently in administration is either moved to another location or remains in administration. I personally have remained there under Ronnie Hughes, 2 terms with Tommy Martinez and Kenny Matassa. So if it was deemed necessary that Kimlin needed to move out of administration, I would have been happy to do so. But I have several council members here who I've worked with diligently for some years, and they can attest to the fact that it was definitely not anything about my work performance, and it could not be anything about me as a person. So therefore, political retaliatory reasons are not acceptable at will. That is one of the special concessions for at-will employment.
Thank you. Mr. Diaz.
This is y'all fourth one of these tonight, so I know y'all is about as drained as I am, and probably tired of hearing me say at will. And I think this is the first one where the employee actually agreed that I'm right. We are at will. We did not terminate Ms. Kimlin for any cause or any reason at all. She was terminated part of a workforce, and I'm not gonna get into the charter that my dad, Tommy Martinez, helped pass. I'm not gonna get into the charter, the personnel manual that Ms. Kimlin admitted exists. It says exactly what I say it says. I have no reason to make that up. We're an at-will parish. And it's the law of the parish, and you can change that. And she's right. We're at the level where she should be at, which is an appeal to you to test his decision and make your decision. And I lost the last one, guys. I lost. It worked like the process works. Ms. Shivers got her job back. You overruled the president's decision. That's what this thing lets you do. That's what this thing lets you do. But he has the right to make the decisions that he makes. And he made that decision, he'll tell you himself, as part of workforce restructuring. He's a brand-new parish president. He gets elected in October. He has 3 months to get his government in order, to get moving, to do the things he promised all these people across his parish he was going to do, including fix the roads. But as part of that, he's got to run the government with people that he can rely on and trust and has chemistry and a staff that he can count on, and maybe reduce some staff to save some money. This is not about anything that Ms. Kimlin did or did not do. And I've worked with Ms. Kimlin a long time, and I've enjoyed every minute of it. This is a decision he made. I could question that decision myself, but it's not my right. I didn't get elected parish president. He did. And he's bearing a lot of weight on his shoulders to make these kinds of decisions. I'm sure he don't sleep well knowing that this is all going on and that his decisions are being tested. And he shouldn't sleep well, because when you make heavy decisions, when you get elected to important positions like President Trump and John Bell Edwards and David Alexander and Clint Quimo, you put in charge, you got to make decisions. Sometimes those decisions don't make people happy. But when the law that you passed, that told him, he didn't pass this law. You want to change it? Change it. But tonight, we're dealing with the law that was passed, which has been upheld so many times by a court of appeal that I can't even count them. He was well within his lane to do what he did as part of his restructuring, and it is working, and it is painful, but that's the process. He has the power to do at-will terminations. That's what he did. Ms. Kimlin has the power to seek an appeal, and that's why we're here. And now it's your power to make a decision on how we go forward with this particular case. Thank you. Do you have any questions?
Questions, gentlemen? I don't see any. Mr. Cole, I'm sorry, Coach.
Now, I'd like to make a motion to overturn the past president.
Ms. Kimlin has an opportunity for 5 more minutes, if you would like to give her that opportunity.
Yes, I'm sorry. I neglected to thank you guys for your time. I'm sorry. I know I'm a little passionate, and that is because I have always been that way about what I do. I try to do it to the best of my ability. I am a lifelong Ascension Parish resident, so I am concerned about the parish and the employees. I have always fought for them, and in fighting for them, it's really clear because I've always stated, I am one of you guys. I came in through the interview process just like everyone else, and I had to work, and they watched me do that. So that's why I think the level of respect is what I have with my coworkers. I also serve on many committees for the parish. The insurance committee, in which we battle yearly over our health insurance, another situation. I'm sure the council knows all about it. You guys will become familiar with it. But I just would like to say that we need to do a better job, no matter what happens tonight. We need to do a better job to inform the employees of exactly what at will means and how it affects them daily. And because of this, we are going to have a lot of people looking for employment elsewhere, which is why I ask of you tonight, because of what is going on now, that you strongly and immediately seek to see what it would take to bring civil service to Ascension Parish government. This will provide protection for the employees. It will provide everything that the public needs for the transparency in which the president speaks of. Because the only way to get a job through civil service is to take a test. You have to have all of the qualifications, and then at that point, it goes through selection. And this type of action can never happen again. Thank you.
Thank you. Coach?
Before I make my motion, I stated earlier that we need to look into the process in terms of us moving forward in dismissing people from the job. We need to make sure that no employee of this parish of Ascension has to go through what we've been through thus far. And I'm making this motion that we reinstate the young lady that is Kimberly Bailey Loomis.
I'm gonna second that
We
motion.
reinstate.
So your motion is to overturn the termination, correct, Coach?
Yes.
Overturn the termination.
And second.
I have a motion and a second. Cinnamon, would you please open the So as I did in previous cases, I'm reminding you that you are voting to overturn the decision. Cinnamon, you can close the voting, please. Mr. Parrington, you can state the outcome.
The outcome was 5-5. The termination stands.
Say that again?
The termination stands. It was 5-5. You need 2/3 vote to overturn the termination.
I quietly understand that.
Thank you very much. Okay. So, item number 14.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you very much.